Welcome, everybody, to the Case for Construction Culture podcast, balancing safety and profitability. And I'm here with Jessey Smithwick. I almost couldn't say that. From Denver, Jessey is the recruiting specialist with Fiore Sons, company I've known about for probably 15 plus years and have done some safety training and done some leadership development with Fiore. Great company, great leaders. Jessey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. How's the weather in Denver today?
It's cold. It's too cold for me.
Cold,
It's
cold.
about
Not as cold as
32 though. Yeah,
not
not
as
as cold
cold
as
as
Minnesota.
Minnesota. 9 below yesterday.
Oh, goodness.
So your job is to recruit. And this is a giant job, as everyone knows in construction. This is one of the
Mhm.
most challenging things anyone can do. And your company has what I think you said 400 some workers when you're full
Yeah,
bore.
just over 400. Yes.
So big company doing a lot of infrastructure work, a lot of underground work, a lot of development, very well respected, very good family owned business. I want to ask you some questions about culture, about, how it is in your world, in the world of recruiting, that you are having your eye on culture and on safety, because that's what this whole show is all about.
Absolutely.
Safety and culture. So, first of all, when I say culture, Jessey, what are some words or things you think of to define culture? You might even talk about it with people you're interviewing.
Yeah, culture is really, it's the values, the mindset, the behaviors of the organization. It's the way that people feel when they come into work. I think that culture is really it's the thread that creates an organization. Uh,
Mhm.
it's you know the opportunity and growth and communication. Um, Truly, just it's the soul of an organization.
It is. And you are overseeing a team, correct? You are recruiting and finding people, but don't you oversee a whole team of people recruiting?
No, I'm the only one.
You're the only one. Why did I think you were on a team?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Jessey.
Yeah.
I can't take too much of your time then. So as the only one, what are you most excited about as we go into the new year in terms of helping to guide and develop your leaders and recruit the right people to create the culture of Fiore?
Yeah, I get really, really excited when I love reading resumes and I love meeting new people and diving into the conversations and learning more about them and sort of putting the pieces together, right? It's like this puzzle. And so
Mhm.
you're recruiting for people who are going to, fit in the puzzle. And I love making that happen. I think um, Fiore Sons currently has a pretty phenomenal growth plan. And I'm super excited about the opportunities ahead for us and the opportunities to, look at new positions. For example, we just hired a construction trainer for our safety team. It's a brand new role for us. He started about 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Um, and it's so exciting to see what the possibilities are that come with growth in terms of employment. I dig employment. I love employment.
Mhm. You're in the right job.
Yeah.
So, and it's not easy, as we all know. One of the top challenges I hear all the time is that finding good people, keeping your best people.
Yep.
What would you say are one of your or two of your top challenges going here into 2025, Jessey? What are you stretched by, challenged by? It sounds like you love a challenge. You love people. You love the whole game of hiring. How do you see your challenges this year?
Challenges definitely with labor shortages when it comes to our field employees, skilled labor for sure. There's been a decline in the number of people who are seeking employment in the construction industry, and we're really feeling that.
Mhm.
So, we meet that by providing things like training. So bringing in our training manager to provide the basics, the OSHA 10 and those things. So definitely the labor shortage. I would say turnover as well is another challenging part. Once the busy season for construction starts, um, there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of money to be made for folks.
Mhm.
And so just, leaving to go elsewhere, or potentially leaving to just get out of the construction industry altogether.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how do you handle those challenges? What do you do to deal with, fewer people are going into construction. There's always the battle for a better wage. What are you doing to counter that? What's the solution? What are you working on to help balance or counter those challenges?
What I what I really love is that we lean into our values and we lean into our culture to meet those challenges. Again, working with the current labor market as it is, and people not being skilled and trained in construction. Okay, well, there's still people out there who really want to work and they're phenomenal workers. So let's teach them. Let's be the ones that provide that opportunity. So we've done a lot with our development programs for training for a variety of things. Not just our OSHA 10 and those basics, but all the way up for our leaders. We have these phenomenal coaching classes for our foremen. And that's, another way that we meet them. We make sure that we're giving our leaders the best tools to go out and really support our employees and our jobs. So that's definitely one of the ways. We do remain competitive with our wages. We do an annual compensation review to make sure that everything is what it should be there. And not only that, the company is adamant about providing health insurance benefits for all of our employees, which is a major, major bonus. And, the company pays 100% of health benefits for all employees. So, um,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
100%. That's
100%. Yes,
that is not the norm, Jesse.
it's
That's
not.
impressive.
It's not.
I think you mentioned coaching for foremen. Say a little bit about how that looks.
It's actually really, really wonderful. So we have they're the foreman training, and they do various topics. We explore various hiring regulations, communication topics, and then the coaching. I think they just did for 2 Fridays. They were in here, 2 or 3 Fridays. They were in here doing a coaching class, um, working on how to engage their employees, learning how to coach to, potential problems, to potential behaviors that might be an issue, as opposed to cutting off an employee and just saying we're done here. We can take a behavior and we can turn it into something positive.
That sounds interesting. Coaching is one of these big words, kind of like culture. It sounds a little more like training. Is it training or is it one-on-one coaching or is it more like a group training for the foreman to
So
handle?
it is a group training for the foremen
Sure.
and we split them up into groups. But they are working together. I know last Friday they had a call for other people in the office to come in with a problem for them to coach us on, so that they could have the practice in doing it with a real issue. So that was really fun. I didn't have the opportunity to participate, but I talked with everyone who did, and it was really, really wonderful. I was chatting with one of our foremen yesterday for our leadership journey program. And he was just talking about how wonderful the training was and how he felt so empowered by it, and that it's definitely a tool he'll be able to use in moving forward. So that's
Nice.
that's the key there. So
Nice. So great. I'd be curious to learn more sometime. That's some of the
yeah,
work that I do, of course. So I'm curious what you guys are doing in that.
yeah.
But I'm also curious about what kind of training your foreman or others have and key leaders, maybe safety leaders. What kind of training do they have in influencing outcomes? Because the job of any safety leader or any foreman is to influence outcomes and anything from worker engagement to safety, quality work. Um, sounds like you're talking about right now some of the training they have, but what other what other training do you give leaders, or do you maybe hire for people that already have certain kinds of training? Because there's so much of this people development happening now in construction. It's like a kind of like the Wild West. There's so many different things happening and being done that none of which were happening even 10,
They
20 years
weren't.
ago. So
No,
what
absolutely. And that's
what
it's magnificent that it's here now.
it is, and it's needed, I
Absolutely.
think, to keep and attract good people. They're expecting it. It's like you can't, it's not though, it's can't have the good old boy culture we had 30 years ago is not working anymore on lots
Yeah,
of levels, right? But
absolutely.
in what ways do you look for or create ways to train and influence your leaders to be able to influence outcomes more skillfully?
So one of the biggest things that the company has provided or invested in is a program called Leadership Journey. Um,
Hmm.
when it first started, it was our executive team that
Yeah.
did it. And then they branched out to our whole, leadership, all the directors. And then they realized that it was such a phenomenal tool that they started offering it to leaders across the board. So our foremen, our superintendents, our project managers, estimators, our HR team has been through it. And it's it's really talking about self-awareness and relationships and communication, owning up your mistakes, following through, but also um, the various parts of us that might be getting in the way of our ultimate success.
Hmm.
And so we have this training that then provides an entire, handbook on how to communicate effectively with Fiore employees. We have a shared language, which is really, really wonderful, and it's been extremely helpful for the entire company. So that's one of the things that we've done.
That's amazing. And I do know a little bit about what you guys have done. And I know some of the people you've hired to do it. I do know you guys are at a high level. Like I've been around a lot of companies. You at Fiore have taken a deep dive into people development. I mean, all the words you just used are words that I use all the time: self-awareness, building relationships, communication, following through, a shared vocabulary. Like these are those are the, so I do, you and I are speaking the same language there, Jesse. And I think the listeners can relate to this. Some companies are just beginning that journey.
Mhm.
Some are maybe a few, or maybe as far as you have gone.
Yeah.
There are a couple that have gone further than you've gone. I mean, so that's
Yeah.
amazing that you guys, how did you guys generate that much interest in the people stuff? And I know it's been some years you've been doing it. How did that get, what's
Yeah.
the genesis of that?
My gosh, the Fiores that, David and Butch and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
they are just really they're so values oriented. They're such compassionate people. They're so relationship focused. That's just who they are as people, and that's how they decided to lead their company. So all of this, of course, started before I came to the company. I've been with the company for just over 3 years now.
Hmm.
This was all happening before I came on board. It was one of the reasons why I was so attracted to the company. Um, so it's just innate within them.
Hmm. I think you're absolutely right. And I know both those two, David and Butch, they're just wonderful people. And doesn't it start at the top? Doesn't
It
it
does.
always start
Yes,
at the top? We need more than just the top, but
absolutely.
these kinds of shaping culture comes from the top.
It
And then you
really
have to
does.
have lots of things in place to make sure what the people at the top want gets translated throughout the organization. And it sounds like you're doing that. It sounds like you're very intentional about making sure you know what we're hiring for, what we're looking
Absolutely.
for, right? You're not
Yes.
just looking for a warm body. You,
No,
you want,
very intentional with our hiring.
you are
Very much.
very
Yeah.
intentional, very careful, and it's got to be challenging some days because I know
It
it can be
is.
very tough, Jesse.
It can be.
I've done a little bit of what you do every
Yeah.
day. Um,
Yeah.
I thought we might wrap up, unless you want to add one other comment, but I thought we might wrap up with a story of a successful change effort you have either helped lead or you maybe watched it happen either a successful one or one that didn't go so well. And I really especially love the ones that didn't go so well because it's so learning. If you can do it without getting fired by any or in trouble with anyone, I'm curious if you have a story, Jessey, or a thought about some change effort, small or big, that you've been a part of or had to see and how it went.
Absolutely. So this is going to be kind of a long story, Tom.
Sure,
Um,
go
I
ahead.
think that my role
Yeah.
was a significant change effort. Um, Prior to um, them hiring me, the company hiring me, they didn't have any recruiter. Um, our HR director had just started in April. She's my boss, and
Mhm.
she was, planning out the various roles that she knew to be necessary and speak to the
Mhm.
success of an organization. So she advocated for
Mhm.
having a recruiter. I started, and we just did kind of well, no, we really did a 180 on our hiring process. Uh,
Mhm.
we started to lean into core competencies for roles, understanding what the exact skills are that are necessary for success in each of our roles: project management, estimating, accounting, HR, all of the roles across the board, safety. What are these specific skills, and
Mhm.
at what level do they need to be done?
Mhm.
We've started breaking out the levels within our roles to say this is what a one is, and this is what a two is, and this is what a three is, and all the various
Mhm.
qualifications and responsibilities and skills that go along with that. We started making our interview process pretty heavy. For all of our roles, we lean into behavioral based interview questions. I've been playing recently with motivation based interview questions as well. I'm having a lot of fun with those.
Mhm.
Um, but even for our field roles, we're doing that behavior based. We're looking for things like leadership and that values orientation within all of our roles. Within our PMs, estimators, the more professional roles, we have a first round interview, we have a second round interview, and we've built out simulations for all of those roles. So that's just like a hands-on opportunity for us to be able to see the candidate's skills. But it's
Mhm.
also a phenomenal opportunity for our candidates to get a sense of what it is to work here and work with us. Um,
Mhm.
so it was a massive change. It was a massive effort. It took the work of every hiring manager that we have. And I think that everything is ever changing. It's a constant process. We tweak something here to see if we can improve the process. We, add a little over here. So it's still growing, it's still changing, but
Mhm.
it's really fun. It's really wonderful.
Creating the role that you are in,
Yeah.
and you were a part of it, but they also created it before you came in, but you have to now make sure it happens,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And was there any resistance to it that you're aware of? Often
Yeah.
in change, there's a lot of resistance along
Mhm.
the way. Did you
Yes.
see some of that, or did all that happen before you got there?
No, goodness, no. I had a lot of experiences of resistance. Change is hard for people. In general, change is hard. And we want to be able to count on what we know. We want to be able
Mhm.
to do things the way that we do them or the way that we want to do them. Change is
Mhm.
hard. So
Mhm.
it has been just a whole lot of regular conversation and regular support and getting to know the hiring managers, getting into their heads about what they're looking for. And so I think at this point we've won them all over, which is fantastic.
Mhm.
It was definitely challenging, and we've got some phenomenal talent here. Absolutely, our directors, our leaders are amazing, and um, they're on board now. So.
It's amazing. That's a great story. I love that story, Jesse. Thanks for sharing that one.
Thank you.
Any final comments you have for me on culture or hiring or safety? A final word on safety in terms of as you're hiring? Can you tell if somebody's going to be really good at safety? Are you throwing darts? Are you?
Oh gosh, no, no, there is no dart throwing. Again, it's a significant process. Um, there's those, again, we're looking for those core competencies. So an individual has to meet these core competencies in order
Hmm.
to be considered for a role. So we have that guide for each of our roles.
Hmm.
Um, and then we, roll out the interview process. It's a pretty heavy interview process. Um,
Hmm.
get told pretty regularly that people haven't been interviewed like that before. Um,
Are they
or
coming back
even
for two
smaller.
or three, four interviews,
They are, yeah,
depending on the level?
absolutely. Yep, for sure. And different opportunities to meet different people within the organization. Um, so sorry, I lost track of what I was saying. I get so excited about the hiring process.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
the
yeah.
safety folks. Yeah. So no, we're very, very intentional when it comes to those things. We're looking for various things. And then it's finding those, getting to know people, getting to know them really well and really fast.
Really fast. And you mentioned simulation. Are you saying you bring in you say, pretend I'm someone who's not wearing my PPE, how would you address me? Or what kind of simulation are you doing?
That could be a task, absolutely. So we build out a different simulation for each of our roles. Um, for our, safety coordinator role, there's a lot of communication. There's completing an investigation. They're given information on something and, all the data that would be necessary, the comments from coworkers, the environment that it was in, what was the temperature, all of that. And so they have to write up the safety investigation, um, solving issues off the cuff. So, they'll be in the middle of their main project and I'll call them as their boss and say, you need to address this right away. And so, how are they handling that situation? Are they getting stressed or are they phenomenal communicators? Those types of things. For our project manager simulation, they build out an entire schedule. They do a budget for a project. So each role is different, but we're looking at those core competencies, that
Sure,
communication, the ability to perform math functions, the understanding of civil construction.
sure,
Yeah,
sure. But you're asking them to kind of prove that they know how to do the tasks, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
And when I hear simulation, I was thinking verbal, but it sounds like it's partly written or maybe mostly written. I don't know.
yeah, it's mostly written. So we
Most-
write out all of the steps of the simulation, and with time frames. And so for the first half an hour, they're going to do this, and then at this time, then we'll call in this. And so it is all written out. There are various projects, files that I'll send them. We're able to do them remotely, so the candidate doesn't have to come into the office for 2 hours. They can
Mhm.
do it from home. We do ask for their undivided attention during that time, but yeah, there's, various tasks. There's data entry, for our administrative roles. There's, data entry. We're looking at the accuracy and the speed for those things.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. You make it sound like a science, like you really
It is a
have
science.
this down to I always think of hiring as an art and the little bit
Yeah,
I've done it.
I
You
think that
never
it's
really
both.
know till the person starts working, right? And then you're like, you
Yeah.
hope there, but you guys have it down to a science, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that it's both an art and a science. It requires the passion and the intentionality, and then understanding how we can create a process, to find the right people.
Hmm. Amazing. Well, you're doing good work. You have a great company. I'm really
Yes.
excited for your future. I hope the challenges, sure you'll find a way to get through them,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
manage
Always do.
them, and keep things strong. But I appreciate you being a guest here.
Of course, thank
Stay
you.
on a little bit, or I'm going to reconnect with you a little bit. I think I'm going to hang up here and come back to you. But thank
Okay,
you, Jessey Smithwick, Fiore and Sons,
perfect.
being
Thank
on the
you.
podcast. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
Adios for now.